Good evening, everyone. Trust we're doing amazing. Trust we're doing great. I hope you've had a great Sunday. I hope you had a great January, by the way. January just flew by very quickly. And if January flew by for you very quickly, that's a good thing. It means you had a great January. For those that didn't have a great month, it crawled and it messed up their entire life, right? Some people claim that January has 60 days. My own January had 15, unfortunately. So my name is Ezekiel Sholisi. I lead a company called Lim Simple. It means Life Investing Money and Business Made Simple. We have a business academy where we house a number of our trainings for corporate organizations and entrepreneurs. Some of the corporate organizations are the ones on the screen, most notable Financial Services, First Bank, FXCM, the Eleganza Group, P1 Group, all of that stuff. But more importantly, or not more importantly, I joined the Forbes Coaches Council. I was invited to join Forbes Coaching, or accepted. It wasn't like I was just saying somebody invited me. I applied and I was accepted to join the Forbes Coaches Council in 2022, being the fourth Nigerian to be a part of the Forbes Coaches Council. And but more important to this conversation, we've worked with over 4,000 entrepreneurs, actually more than that, maybe 5,000 entrepreneurs. And we have about 45 now of our clients that exceed $1 billion a year in revenue. So that's 45 was our last count, which was a few days ago. So I always like to start every one of the sessions that I run. If you've known me for, I don't know how long, 10, 20 years, doing this for 21 years now. So if you know me long enough, you would know that I usually always like to start here. Why? Because I mean, if we don't establish what we want, then everything we're doing doesn't make any sense. So the question is, what do you really want, right? What do you really, really want, right? What do you really want? Now, why this question is very, very, very important is because most of the time, when we started our lives wanting what we truly want. But as things go around and, as life gets a little tough, we start wanting what we think we can get, right? So why I like to ask this question is that I want to sort of try to spend the first 10 minutes to try and remind us of some of the things that we want, right? And the reason why we make that decision, is because somehow we think that life adds on each other. No, life compounds. So, oftentimes, in fact, let me even give you this little puzzle. Now, if you did maybe, during the last election, let me not say this one because now it might look like, but let's assume somebody decided, right, that they wanted to give you something, right? On one hand, they had a Ghana must go that had $5 million inside. On the other hand, they have something called a magic coin, right? It's a 1 cent coin, but this 1 cent will double itself every day for 31 days. Which of them would you take? Would you take the $5 million or would you take the doubling coin for 31 days? And why? So let's hear. Who's going to take the $5 million and just run into the sunset? Let me see it in the comment section. Who's going to take the $5 million? Who's going to take the... Sorry, 1 second. So people say they're going to take the $5 million. Now, if you take the $5 million and not the doubling coin, you're going to have a situation in which at the end of the 30 days, you would have lost about $5.5 million because this doubling cents is going to make $10.5 million in 31 days. And that's the power of compounding, right? Compounding effect. Now, so life is like that. If you keep doing everything that you're doing, things would compound, right? Think about it this way. Have you noticed if you're listening to anybody's success story, any very successful person, at some point, everything is taking an arithmetic progression, and at some point things just, it just looks as if things just went gaga. That's how it is. So let me remind us, when we ask people what they really want, people talk about different things. Some people want to be financially free. How many of us would like to be financially free? If you want to be financially free, I want you to type financial freedom. Now, why is that important? I mean, we all sort of want financial freedom, right? We want to be successful. We want to, sort of make a lot of money, and enough for us to know that we don't have to worry about money again in our lives, right? Some people want to make a lot of money because they want to contribute to society. They want to give. Giving is beautiful. In fact, giving is amazing, but giving is easier when you have a lot to spare, right? Some people want to make a lot of money because, they want peace of mind, right? They don't want to change the world. They just want to know. I mean, think about it now. In Nigeria, for those of us that are in Nigeria, dollar is just going crazy, right? I mean, we might, and I, for God's sake, hope not, but we might get to 2,000 naira for a dollar. Some people just want to know that wherever the dollar is going, wherever fuel is going, I can afford it. All right? So that's very, very important. Some people want to be very healthy. They want good health, right? So all of them. All right. Some people say they want good health, and good health is not cheap. Good health means that you have to be able to see good doctors, be able to afford to see good doctors. Some people want to build assets, right? They want to be able to build, build. For example, if you are living somewhere, if you currently are watching me from a particular house right now, and the house is not yours, it's somebody else's asset, right? So it means that that person is making money off you being in that building right now. That's what it means. Somebody's making money by you being in the building right now. Some people want to give their children good quality education. And good quality education, in fact, I tell people that it's very critical that you find a way to put your kids in the best schools possible, right? Because why is it important that you put your kids in the best schools possible? Because it's not just because they teach better in some of those schools, and sometimes they don't even teach better. It's because sometimes it would matter, maybe in 5 years, 10 years, maybe 20 years, who your son's classmate was, then it might even matter whether he's brilliant, right? And lastly, some people want to make a lot of money because they want to retire in style. And this one, I want to explain it so that we all get it and we understand exactly where I'm coming from. The first is, now imagine, because I do get a lot of opportunity to do trainings for corporate organizations, and the likes. And sometimes I talk to people in these corporate organizations, and I'm like, okay, so what's the plan? We're all going to get to a point at some point in our lives, in some distant future or near future, how old you are, that you are either not going to be able to work for as long or as hard, or you're not going to be allowed to work for as long or as hard, right? And if you get to that point, it's important for you to have figured out something. Well, the volume is low. Maybe you need to increase your volume. Is anybody else experiencing low volume so that I know that it's not just him? Can everybody else hear me loud and clear? If you can hear me loud and clear, I want you to say loud and clear. Okay, so Peter said the volume is okay. So maybe you need to increase the volume on your own hand. I think that's for Thompson, I believe. Okay, great. That's okay, Taiwo, you might need to increase your volume. Some people can hear me loud and clear. If you can't, increase your volume. So here's the thing. So imagine that so most people who have very decent jobs talk about the PFA, right? The pension fund, right? Good. So let's assume that you get a PFA that allows you to save 50K every month, 50,000. That's a very decent job. In fact, in civil service, probably get like maybe 14, 15, 13 before you can save that amount of money. That's 600K a year into your retirement savings. Let's assume that this person could do this every year for the next 20 years before he has to retire or is made to retire. And this person could get 10%, not 5, 10% guaranteed interest. And he could do this for 20 years. And he gets something more called compounding interest. When this person retires, he or she would have, by all things being equal, 32.2 million in their retirement account. How many of us would like to have 32.2 million in your retirement account if you could help it, right? How many of us would like to have that, right? If you'd like to have that, I want you to write 32M. Why it's important is that I need us to understand how exciting this offers are. Most people would never pass up an opportunity to have 32 million in their retirement account. No, most people would never, ever pass up that opportunity. Nobody. Most people would never pass up the opportunity at all, right? Except for one small problem. Robert Kiyosaki told us that that there's 3 sides to every story. There's the side that you're told, and then there's the side you believe, and then lastly, there's the truth. And oftentimes, the truth is not exactly as amazing as we hoped that it would be. Because here's the thing. If you go through this plan, and in 20 years, all things being equal, you will have 32.2 million there in your account. The problem with that analysis is that, and this is the real thing that everybody who operates a PFA is hoping that you never ask, is what exactly would 32.2 million naira be worth in 20 years, right? Now, let me give you an example. Because here's the thing. You would get the 32.2 million naira, but the problem is it may not necessarily be worth much in 20 years. And the best way to think about this is to go back to a year like 1986. 1986, if, for example, my dad had, let's say, 3,005, he could buy a brand new car. In fact, in 1986, the minimum wage in Nigeria was 200. It was, in fact, as at 1994, the minimum wage was 250 naira per month. So it was like 3,000 naira for a whole year. So just to help you know that 3,005 was not back pocket change. It was a lot of money in 1986. So my dad's going to buy a brand new car, for example, but his friends advised him against that. And definitely he decides that every year he was going to save that amount of money that's supposed to go for a car. And then he would put it in some investments, some savings plans that would give him 10% guaranteed interest. He could do that for 20 years and he could get compounding interest. The same factors that created our 32 million naira. When he finally retires, he would have 224,600 by the same calculation, by the way, which is good. I mean, it's a lot from 3,005. The problem is that he gets that money in 2005. 2005, 224,600. Would I buy him a brand new car? No. Would I buy him a fairly used car? No. He won't even buy him a useless car. And the reason why this is important for you to note is that, and this is very, very key, and you might want to write this down, the next thing I'm about to say, is that savings, even though it's a good habit, it's a very bad strategy. Because you're saving something fast that is losing value faster than it is gaining numbers. So it's important, for example, for you to save up for an investment than for you to save up as an investment. Save up for an investment. Save your money, buy land, save your money, start a business, save your money, do something. If the long-term plan is just saving money, you realize that you're working so hard in a system that is working equally as hard against you. So it's important for you to understand exactly what savings is and how to use it to your advantage. When you figure out all of this, I want to acknowledge that in this room, there are entrepreneurs. Some people say, no, I'm not the entrepreneur type because I work somewhere and all that. That's good. The employee is an entrepreneur with one client. The business owner is an entrepreneur with plenty of clients. So I tell employees that if you don't think you're an entrepreneur, you wait until the day you get fired. So the day you get fired or you're asked to leave, it will say a lot of nice things or a lot of bad things, depending on the conversation around when you got fired. And one of the things that it would say is that your services are no longer needed. And your services are no longer needed means that for whatever it's worth, they don't need you. And so you realize that all the time when they were paying you, they weren't doing it because they liked you. They were doing it because they needed you. Very, very, very important, right? So because of that, and I should mention that what we are giving you here, we have a strategy workshop that that's holding on the 23rd. So what we're giving you here is the very first module, the first module. If you come to class eventually, or rather for those of us that would come to class, this module is the first module that you would see. So it has, this is not just some rundown class that we are hoping to use to be able to get. Why do we do this? Some people see this module and decide they'd like to come to class, which is okay. Some people see this module, they're not coming to class, but we just want it to be value for you. So that's why you see module 1, because this is the very first module you would see when you come to the strategy factory, right? So because it's a business strategy workshop, the first thing we want to share with you, or we want to agree on, is what a business is. Now, why is that important? Because I know that we all know what a business is. And in fact, let me even ask, what is a business? At least to you. What is a business? Let me see it in the comment section. What is a business? Can somebody, 2 people, 3 people tell me what a business is? I would give you the permission to also unmute yourself if you are in a quiet place. If you want to talk, you can talk. Right? What is a business? Anybody? Great. Manasseh wants to say something. Oh, I thought you wanted to say something. So somebody says, David says, solving a problem in an exchange for money. That's good. That's really good. Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay. Perpetual says, a business and entity that brings goods and services in exchange for what? Ololade says, value exchange system. Victor says it's a means or medium of exchange of value. Okay, great. Anybody else? Okay. Now, and all of our definitions, by the way, are very, very, very correct. All our definitions are very correct. However, I want to show you one definition that I really like. I didn't come up with the definition. I'm not that smart, right? And this definition is from Josh Kaufman. Josh Kaufman wrote a book called The Personal MBA. If you haven't read the book, I would recommend that you find the book, that you read it, because it's a really, 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 really good book, right? Somebody just dropped another definition. Business is offering value in exchange for money. Okay, great. So Josh Kaufman defines business this way in his book, The Personal MBA, which I recommend that you get. A business is a repeatable process, that's one, that does these 5 things. The first is that it creates and delivers something of value. 2, that other people want or need. 3, at a price they are willing to pay. 4, in a way that satisfies the customer's needs and expectations. And then 5, so that the business brings in enough profit to make it worthwhile for the owners to continue operation. This is, in my view, one of the best definitions of a business. So what we're going to do is that we're going to analyze each of these factors of the definition so that it gives us a holistic view, and it might perhaps provide a new prism, a new way for you to take a look at your business, give your business a different sort of view. And it might, and in my own case, it's affected how I help people build businesses, how I consult for people that are trying to build businesses, and also how I build my business also, right? Great. Someone said this definition is cool. I think that's David. Yeah, cool. It is super cool. Get the book. So the first one says the business creates and delivers something of value. So the first question you need to ask yourself is, how valuable are your offers? How valuable are the offers that you are putting in the market? Very important. How valuable are the offers you are putting in the market? And one of the ways to check how valuable it is to ascertain the viability of your idea or your business, right? And one of the ways that we look at it is that we study the population demography and see what it tells us. And it informs us exactly what we should be doing. The first question I'm asking you now is that your business, whatever it is you do for business, the name of the book is The Personal MBA. The Personal MBA by Josh Kaufman. Don't worry, you'll see more of it. First, this business that I am doing, does it serve a huge expanding market? What does that mean? Is the market size expanding or is it shrinking? Is it expanding or is it shrinking? For example, some of us are old enough to know. In the year 2000, maybe 1999, 2000, 2001, it would have made perfect sense to open a cyber cafe. It made a lot of sense to open a cyber cafe, right? But does it still make sense to run a cyber cafe today? No, because the market, even though there are more people online now than there were in the year 2000, the market for a cyber cafe business is not expanding, it's shrinking because most people can go to the internet from their devices right now, right? That's the reason why you notice that people like Microsoft are out of the computing business and they're into AI and gaming now. IBM has moved away from the PC business to cloud computing. Why? Because once you look at, you can't build a business that is bigger than the size of the industry. And so when an industry starts to shrink, you want to get out of that industry, right? As an industry is shrinking, you get the hell out, right? There's no business that you're supposed to die with, right? So this is very, very key. The first question is, does it serve a huge expanding market? The second is, can it be built into a unique product? What does this mean? It means, how can I get people beyond looking for my product category to looking for me, right? So think about it this way. Okay, how do I get people moving away from, I just want a phone, to I want to buy a Samsung or I want to buy an iPhone, right? How do I get people moving from I want to buy Gary to I want to buy this brand of Gary? How do I get people moving from, for example, one of us here says he's or she is a realtor. How do I get people moving from I want to buy property from anybody to I want to buy property from Joshua, for example, who says he's a real estate investment consultant? How do I get people, for example, from saying, I want to buy houses from anybody to I want to buy a house from David, right? Because David is a developer. How do I get people from saying, oh, I just want anybody to decorate me to I want Raphael to decorate, right? How do I get people from saying, I just want to buy books from anywhere to I want to buy it from Daniel, or whatever the brand that Daniel represents? Why is this important? The ability to move people from the product category to you in particular means that you have created a differentiation. There's something unique about you, right? In business, it's called the USP, your unique selling proposition. And once people come to you for any specific reason whatsoever, they are usually willing to pay more for that luxury, right? Very, very important. The third factor is this idea. Also, Ty will say from your, is the hair and beauty industry expanding or shrinking? Well, it depends. Are people still growing hair? Are people still being born that need hair? Are people going older who most likely, do people still want to look beautiful? Well, Nigeria is going to get to 450 million people. I'm sure even now, men are trying to look beautiful, right? Because men now, they use lipstick now. Men, they use lipstick. Men, they do manicure and pedicure, right? Because now we're not so sure if it's a him or a she, right? But even him, they do stuff. She, they do. Him, she, and she, him, they're both doing. So I don't think you are, I don't think you are in a bad place. But, when you're looking at an industry, you also have to look deeper to see whether what you are actually doing is expanding or shrinking, right? So let's assume that you're in the beauty industry, but you're one of those aboki guys that used to do, some aboki guys used to use, I mean, I have seen those aboki guys that used to use razor blade and comb to cut hair. Anybody? Or you guys are too touche? So you've seen those guys. So look at that guy now. That guy can be saying, there are more people that want to cut their hair, so I still have a business. But as income rises and people have more disposable income, they are most likely going to move away from that kind of haircut to a proper haircut, right? I'm sure nobody on this call has ever gone to an aboki to use the blade and exactly, right? So imagine if they're using it to be blade and comb, to be combing and be blading your hair. Even those ones that you see on the streets that, they do the manicure and pedicure on a normal hair. So what I'm trying to explain is that even though, because you might be saying, oh, I'm in the beauty industry, it's always growing. There might be something that you are doing particularly inside that industry that is already shrinking. Do you understand? So you need to find a way to look at it. So when we talk about your market, we're not talking about just like the larger market that you serve. We're talking about the specific market that you serve. Is that market expanding or is that market shrinking? Right? So second, I talked about whether it's unique enough. Third, I talked about whether it's in its time. Now, what's timing, right? What's timing in business? Very, very important. So if you look at this diagram I drew earlier, right? I said that don't get into a business when it's shrinking, get into a business when it's expanding, right? But sometimes something happens. Some people get into a business at this point. You see, at this point, it's very dangerous. It's not yet in its time. Now, between this point and this point is called education. Most often, most businesses that have to do a lot of education at this level, they don't have money when the business takes off. So sometimes, if you don't have a lot of money, don't enter into an industry that is not popping yet. Let me give you an instance. Many of us here know Facebook, right? Of course, you definitely know Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all of those guys. What you might not know if you're young, or might have forgotten if you're older, is High Five, MySpace, right? Why? Those guys came in a long time ago. In fact, they are responsible for helping us understand social networking, but they spend a lot of money educating us and ran out of money when we got the message. Many of us here know YouTube. What we might not know is Netscape. Netscape was the company started by, what's the name of this guy that's in Shark Tank? It was the first streaming service, right? I mean, very, very, but guess what? It came ahead of its time, right? Sometimes a business, and so for those that come to class, we tell you, what do you do if you are in an industry and you're ahead of your time? Very, very important, right? Very, very, very important. And then lastly, can this give you leverage? What does that mean? It means that this, because don't forget, none of us in this room, or rather all of us in this room, what we really want is freedom. We only want freedom. We're doing business or whatever it is that we're doing because of its promise to give us freedom. The guy I was trying to remember was Mark Cuban. He was a shark. He started Netscape, right? So, but sometimes you're in a business that the lifespan is so short, you will never be able to get free, or the way the business is operated is so steep that you can't even break free. You need to get out. It's not all business. There are some businesses that can only be started out by people who have billions and billions and billions of dollars to spare. Those of you that have to read these books, start with what you have. There's some businesses you shouldn't get into, right? Say you want to start with what you have. You want to open a telecoms business. Only the license you're going to pay alone, it will chase you out, right? So the second factor is that other people want or need. So here we're asking, how needed are your offers? How have you been able to create an intrinsic need for your product? And it's not whether your product is expensive or cheap. It's about whether you've been able to create a need in your mind, in the minds of the people. And one of the companies that has done this really well, and many of us here would agree with me on that, is the iPhone or Apple. How many of us here have noticed that the people who use iPhones, there's a way they behave like if they've made it in life? Have you noticed? The way they all behave like they've made it. I'm one of them too. I've used an Apple product for, I don't know, since 2011. But there's a way in which, and if you are here and it annoys you, that means you don't use an iPhone, right? You see, that feeling was engineered into the average person. That feeling was engineered. In fact, some of you might not have noticed, but have you noticed, you probably start noticing it from today. If you watch a movie, an American movie, whatever it is, the rich guy in the movie or the good guy in the movie uses an iPhone. The bad guy doesn't. They have so conditioned everyone that, we now feel a sense of exclusivity when we use those products. So the question is, do people feel that way working with your products? Do people feel that way? Do people feel that way working with your service? Very important. Third, at the price they are willing to pay. And here we're not talking about whether your product is expensive or cheap. What we're talking about is whether you are talking to the right people. You see, because nothing is cheap, nothing is expensive. The difference is who's buying. Think about it this way. If I'm hungry right now, this is what you call the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Abraham Maslow, a psychologist, created this thing just so that he can prove that people live essentially in different parts of levels of society based off of their disposable income. So think about it this way. If I'm hungry right now and I want to eat, and I have 500 naira, I can eat, right? I can look for a mama put and just eat, find something to eat. 500 naira, I'll have food. How many of us agree with me? With 500 naira, you can still eat a decent meal. It will be like a Buka meal, but it's still something. If you agree, say yes. Great. Now, if I'm hungry and I had 1,005, right? I can still eat. Maybe I'll go to Refuel, right? Refuel, Chicken Republic. I'll go and refuel my spirit there, right? If I had a lot more budget to spare, maybe like, I don't know, 10K, I can still eat. I'll go to, I don't know, Rhapsodies, Castle and Cambinis, Ocean Basket, something. The same one meal. If I had a bit of more money, and maybe I had maybe like 50K to spare, I can still eat. Golden Gate, go to a nice restaurant, eat, drink some nice cocktails, whatever it is, I'll eat. If I have about 350K, I can still eat. There's restaurants. In fact, there's one in VI, not far from Eco Hotel. And I mean, a decent meal. In fact, I had an opportunity to sit down there with a client and one of my staff. And, at the end of the day, the two of us had eaten 726,000 naira, right? Now, the person who owns this restaurant here is not looking for this person here. Whereas some businesses, they have businesses in this place. So they market as if they are looking for these people, but they are expecting to get these people. It cannot work now. So the marketing that you do, and what is marketing? Marketing is everything you do to get the attention of your customers, of your prospective customers, right? And what does it mean to get their attention? To get them to know you, to get them to like you, to get them to trust you. Then sales is what you do to get them to pay you. Marketing and sales are not the same thing. Just wanted to just drop that out there, right? So the marketing you're doing, is it attracting the kind of people? Let me even give you, and we've done it with a number of people. So can I have just a quick chat with anybody. You run a business, you can unmute yourself, and you want us to have a quick talk. We're going to try something right now and just have a...
Okay.
Okay, great. So who am I speaking with? I'm speaking with Augustina. Great. So Augustina, what do you do?
All right. So I work with a tech company, and what we do is that we sell software for faith-based organizations like churches and ministries.
Okay, beautiful. So this your tech company. What's the price point of your service?
So I think the highest price is about 100 and above. So if you're doing per annum, 100,000 naira and above. And
when you say 100 and above, we need to be specific. 100
that's
million
per month. So per annum is because you make subscription per month.
So the moment you have created a product that is 100,000 naira per month, it has created a situation where some churches, some faith-based organization cannot afford you.
Well, we do have the ones for 36,000 per annum. However, we are pushing more for the enterprise. That's for the big ministries.
Good. So what that means now is that anybody that can't make a transaction of 100,000 a month for whatever it is that your service does cannot afford you, right? So what that means is that a lot of your marketing should go towards the church. So what's the typical size of a church that can afford your service?
Any church. So we even have a free.
That's the first. No. That's the first mistake you just made. You told me that your organization is pushing for the enterprise. So that's what the focus of the organization is. True or true?
Yes.
Good. If your organization is focused on enterprise, not everybody is your customer. Now, what does that mean? Even the person who comes into your free program is not your customer yet because you're not making any money. That person is a liability to you. Until they make. So the organization, for example, now needs to be clear and say, okay, what kind of church would be able to afford 100,000 a month? What would be the typical size of that church? What would be the size of their workforce? I don't know what your software does.
The size is from 3,000, 5,000 and above membership
3,000 to 5,000 members, right?
Yes, sir.
Good. So how many churches in Lagos has 3,000 members and above?
We have over 100 of them.
Over 100 doesn't sound like you've done your research. You either know it or you don't. Over 100 is an assumption. Right now, if you are pushing for enterprise, you should be able to tell me there are 126 churches in Lagos that have 1,000 members and above. You see what I'm talking about now? That sometimes our marketing as a business has to match the people that we're looking for. Because there is no shortage of people that will spend 100,000 naira. People that can afford it. But me, as the person who's selling this enterprise software, I need to know exactly who's buying from me. I need to know. So the next question I wanted to ask you now is, how many of those pastors do you guys know? Because if I sell, how many of the churches in your assets, in your customer class, if you guys are on social media, how many of those churches are following you? How many of those churches, pastor, are checking you out? How many, do you understand? So it's important to know that whenever it is, once you are clear about what you're looking for. Let me give you an instance. As a business, right? I have a training that is 150,000 naira, 180,000, sorry, naira in a hotel. Not everybody can afford it, and I know that, right? So it has determined a lot of things. Where we do our event, we have clients, even people that come to that place. We have a mastermind program that's about 15 million a year. We have people that pay us 30 million a year. Not everybody can get into that space. So we know exactly who we're looking for. We give out this free program. Some people come in, they decide to join, they don't decide to join, whatever it is. But the point is, at the end of the day, you need to know exactly who you are targeting so that you can direct. Because if me and you right, if both of us are in the same business, for example, and I'm just saying I can find everybody, and we both have 200,000 naira to spend on marketing, and I spend marketing 200,000 naira trying to look for anybody, and you spend 200,000 naira on marketing trying to find that church that is 3,000 and above, you are going to get more results looking for the exact people than I would get looking for everybody. And that's the reason why it's important to focus our energy on the people that we're looking for. I don't know if that helps you.
Yeah.
Great. So number 4, it says, in a way that satisfies the customer's needs and expectations. And here we're talking about customer satisfaction. What's the experience of people when they do some work with you, right? Because so many businesses are so focused on getting new money that we treat people who have paid us with a little bit of disdain because we're trying to chase the next money, right? And I call that a organizer mindset. So I'll tell you the story. I went to Golden Tulip many years ago. I went to do a training there. And those of us who know Golden Tulip know that you kind of driving from Apple Junction, you go through Diamond Estate before you get to Golden Tulip, right? So you go down through and then you get to Golden Tulip. And so I had this training there. So I was done with my training, came out, and my car had one of the tires went flat. So I had to work all the way out of Golden Tulip, walked all the way to the main road through Diamond Estate. I found an organizer there. He comes, he takes the tire, says it's going to cost me X amount of money, and he's going to bring it back in 20 minutes. Okay, 20 minutes, I'm waiting. 20 minutes is not back. 30 minutes is not back. 1 hour, this crazy guy is not back. I'm furious. I walk all the way down there. As I get down to the main road, I realize that my tire is right there on the floor, and then he's trying to fix every Tom, Dick, and Harry's tire, and he hasn't done anything with mine. So I called his attention to him, like, guy, how far you keeping me time? He said, bros, no verse. You know, this your tire now, it dey with me. You know, they go anywhere. I cannot, because of this your tire now, not collect all the other money that are coming. So in essence, what he was telling me, that because he had locked me down, he's okay with wasting my time because he knows I can't go anywhere because I can't leave my tire, and he's collecting all the monies that are coming. And this is how most of us do it. Before a customer buys, we're calling them all the time. We're being friendly, we're nice. The moment they buy and they call us, before they bought, they will call you at 11 o'clock, you pico. By now they've bought, they call you at the same 11 o'clock. You're not forming work-life balance. So don't they know that they're supposed to be sleeping? If anything you were doing before a customer buys, you must continue to do for the customer. I'm telling you. Why? Because if you don't do that, there is nothing as terrible for a business as an angry customer. Because the moment a customer gets angry at you, guess what would happen? They would become an advocate against you. They become an advocate against you. Let me give you a perfect example. So I and my wife were trying to get nannies for our children maybe 3 years ago. Yeah, I think it was 3 years ago. 3 years ago. And so she had gone to this company that provides nannies. They were online, very big on marketing. And then the experience wasn't good at all. And I thought that we shouldn't bother getting into it, but eventually we got it from them. And even the experience after we got it was so terrible. We had to let the person go. They didn't even call, even till they didn't even call. So eventually got from somebody else. So one day I'm in the office, and one of the members of our community, a single mother, was talking about she wants to scale her business. One of the things she wanted to get was a nanny, and she said, she's even lucky she contacted this current company, and they were looking for somebody for her. And it's the same company. The moment I heard that company, oh Jesus, that meeting stopped. I spent the next 30 minutes talking about my terrible experience with this company. And I'm sure because I spent 30 minutes, I'm sure I must have lied. I'm sure I must have said stupid things that were probably not true, right? And I did you would think that they paid me to market these people. All right. And then I eventually recommended the person that I used. And then she used the person, she got somebody on the likes. But here's what the interesting thing is. That lady is going to go somewhere and she's going to be talking about whatever. And somebody's going to mention the name of that company. And she's going to talk so terribly about the company. And she'd never, ever even used them. Did you notice? She would be sharing an experience that she never had, just an experience from me. That's why if you have a terrible employee, if you have a system that doesn't keep employees properly, what will happen is that you would lose a lot of business because people would hate you and they don't even know you. And you do that by not treating the customers that you have very well. Treat them well, and then they will treat you well. And then lastly, so that the business brings in enough profit to make it worthwhile for the owners to continue operation. And here we're talking about how profitable is your business? Is your business making money? Why? Because profits are the cost of the future. Profit is not about flex. Profit is about survival. Profit is about survival. Profit is about the fact that, listen, if your business, the only way a business can survive is if the business is profitable. If the business is profitable, the business can, think about it. When Microsoft is getting into AI, they buy OpenAI to get into AI. They get into gaming, they buy Activision for $10 billion to get it. Why? Because profits, the future of your business costs profit. Why? Because wealth is not measured in numbers, it's measured in time. It doesn't matter how much money you have, it matters how long it takes you. So let's say your business has 100 million and it'll take, maybe we experience another COVID type situation where nobody can work the next 1 year. And your expenses is 10 million a month. In 10 months, you're going to have big problem. You know, why? Because it doesn't matter that you have 100 million. It matters that, it takes you long enough. And that's why profitability is important, because every minute, every extra kobo, every extra naira a business makes guarantees an extra month, an extra minute of that business life. That is the truth. So when people make a lot of money and they just blow it all, and they forget what profitability is about. Profitability is about survival. It's not about flexing, right? But I want to do a quick activity. It's going to take us 10 minutes. We're going to be done by 8:15. It's going to take us 10 minutes. And for those of us that are entrepreneurs, I want us to run through this activity and see exactly how it impacts, how your expense impacts on the business, and let's see how profitable your business is. But here's the problem with this activity. Most of us are not going to be able to finish it, right? And because maybe somewhere in between, as you're doing, you're going to have like high blood pressure, stroke, something like that. But if you finish it, you're probably going to have a really, 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 really great business, right? So here's what I need you to do, right? I need you to get a notepad and a pen or something you can write on and a piece of paper. And when you get it, I want you to come to the comment section here and write ready. If I see a number of us write ready, I move on to the next slide, and then we start this stroke giving activity. Great. Number of us are ready. Great. So I'm going to move to the next slide. Don't write anything I wrote. Don't write anything on the screen. I would walk you through every single thing. So the first thing, I want to help you calculate how much money you spend in a month. I'm sure you think you know, but just do me a favor and just walk with me for 10 minutes and we'll know together. So like I said, it's what you spend. So if I mention something you don't spend, don't bother. The first thing is rent. Most of us have rent. If you own your own house and you live in your house and you don't pay any mortgage, this doesn't apply to you. And this is for your house, not your office. So rent is, most of us have our rent annual, divide that by 12. That tells you what it is monthly, right? So write the number monthly. It's the monthly figure that we're looking for. So once you write the number monthly, write rent done. So what does that mean? Your rent is 600K, divide that by 12, that's 50K a month. So you don't write the 600, write the 50K. If your rent is 5 million divided by 12, that's about 450 something K, 400 plus K in a month. 400 plus K in a month, right? So write that down, and the likes, right? So let's see. I want to see, and if you're done with that, write rent done. Rent done. Rent done tells me that you're done with the first one. Don't write done, write rent done. Good. Thank you, Gidado. Thank you, Martins. Okay, so let's go. Keep going. Let me wait for a few of you to just catch on. Okay, good. Next is transportation. Most of us have cars here, or you might have a car. You have a car, you fuel your car weekly, right? So whatever that amount is that you fuel your car with, multiply it by 4. That tells you what the monthly figure is. If you don't have a car, whatever your transport is, multiply it by 30. There's averagely 30 days in a month. And so once you're done with that, write TP done. TP done tells me that you've gotten to TP. So that's TP, not CO. So that we're sure. Okay, Peter, thank you. Okay, good. Next is utilities. So under utilities, there are different things. So I want you to write all the different things. For example, most of us have light bill. You pay for light, right? So under, you're gonna write utilities. Under utilities, the first thing you write is light bill. You pay for light. Some of us live in gated environments, so we pay maybe estate dues, security bill, service charge, whatever that is. Some of us here pay, or rather, most of us here pay some form of cable TV, high TV, low TV, Go TV. Some of us here spend money on fuel, maybe fueling your generator, right? This is not, the first transportation was fueling your car. We're talking about fueling your generator now, right? And the likes. Once you're done with all of that, just write UT done. So UT done means you're done with all of that. Thank you. Who else is with us? Who else is with us? Okay, Peter, thank you so much, Peter. We're almost there. Next is feeding. Feeding cost is not foodstuff in your house. Foodstuff, we're coming to data cost. Don't worry, data is coming. It's down there. Foodstuff. So most of us here, this only applies to those of us that don't work from home. So maybe you work somewhere, you live somewhere else. There's somewhere close to your office that you, Raphael, you wrote done. What is done? UT done, TP done. What is it? So most of us have somewhere close to our office that we buy food. Still small amount, maybe like 500 naira or 1,000 or 5 million, depending on what your level is. But there's usually about 25 working days. So whatever that small amount is, multiplied by 25, and then just write, FD done. So that tells us you're done with FD, with food. And then the next will follow out very quickly, which is groceries. Groceries is now the big one, where you put your foodstuff, toiletries, the whole 9 yards. And it's a big budget. For most people, it's maybe the largest budget or the second largest budget in their house, maybe behind school fees and, I don't know, house rent or something. So once you're done with that, I want you to write GC done. So that tells me you're done with groceries. How many of us are still with me? Are still with me? Don't fall down out of the way. Don't fall off or keep going. Some of you now, you have already started to have a heart attack. So we're talking about groceries, GC. That's where we are now. So let me see how many people have gotten there. Okay, good. Next is school fees. So school fees is a little tricky. If your children are not yet in university, there's usually term 1 plus term 2 plus term 3, divided by 12. So, so that equals total divided by 12. And of course, you do that for each of the children. No buy one, get one free school yet. So you want to do all of that. And then that tells us that you have SF done. You've done school fees for each of your children. If your children are in the university and you pay once, that's okay. Just divide that by 12. Okay, thank you so much, Danny Books. Thank you so much, Salma Gidado, John Goja. That's a very interesting name. I'd like to know where that person is from. And the next is personal expense. Personal expense is how much you spend on yourself. It's not a lot of money for most people, just, little things here and there. Food stuff, no, not food stuff, haircut for the guys, manicure, pedicure, all the cures that you cure yourself, right? So, so once you do that, just write PE done. And that's closely followed by childcare expense. What's childcare expense? Is anything you buy for your child that you spend on your child that is not school fees, right? It's usually maybe extracurricular classes, all those things. Yeah. If you don't have children, this doesn't apply to you. Or your kids are already old. Well, if they're old, it still applies, right? They're still collecting money from you. Okay, next is communication. Communication is airtime and data. Right? So this one will be COM done. How much is airtime? How much is data for you? And next is giving. So I know you think that giving is random, but it's not. If you look very well, giving is not really random for you, right? There is, I don't know, different things you give to. There is, God you give to. There is your parents. Some of us give to our parents. There's, urgent 2K people that you always give to from time to time. So it's GV done. So it's sort of, there's a rhythm to it. And then lastly is other expense. Other expense is anything that I have not mentioned. So maybe you travel, you go on vacation every year. What are the other things? You have a maid, you have a driver, you have an accountant for their salary and all that. Once you finish that, I want you to write all done, because that's the last one. So let's see how many of us got to all done. Thank you. Shivinsi. I don't know, Mystic Chip. I don't know how to pronounce your name, bros. So if you've written all done, I want you to add everything. You should have a column in which you've probably written down all the monthly figures. Add it all up and let's see what it is. Sorry, don't write it here. It's only for your own consumption. But when you finish writing it, I want you to just post an emoji, maybe if it shocks you or something. Okay, people are posting here. I have 2 questions to ask you and we'll call it an evening. Just 2 questions. Some people are shocked because they haven't done this kind of thing before. Some of you are about to realize why Moses Bliss wrote Miracle No Retire Jesus, because you have been living on a miracle. So for those of us that have done this activity, if you run a business and your business is your only form of income, can your business pay you? That thing you wrote, can your business pay you that amount of money every month? Yes or no? Can your business pay you that amount of money every month? Yes or no? Now, if your business cannot pay you, this is what I hope that you will do. Next week, when you go to service, when you go to church, and your pastor says you should pray against cankerworm and palmerworm, don't pray, because you and the palmerworm are palmerworming your business together. So just be praying that, Father, Lord, have mercy on your son or daughter, whichever one you are. Just be praying for mercy, because Angel Sikiru needs to solve your problem. You're the one chopping your business. The destiny of the business, you're the one eating it. But the question that I want us to think about, you're palmerworming yourself. The question I want us to think about, because as powerful as that first question is, it's not as powerful as the next one. And the next one, I think, is going to be more transformative for your business, right? Because that next one, something that I used to do, but I would have spent it before this, right? But the next question is going to be really serious, because it's really what's going to determine how big your business gets. And the question is this: how big does your business need to get to be able to pay 20 people that work for you that amount of money that you just wrote down? And the reason why this question is important is that it tells me if you want to keep quality people. Because if you don't intend for people that work for you to be successful, you're not going to keep ambitious people. You're not even going to be able to hire them. And we have 45 businesses that exceed $1 billion a year. And you see, I can tell you a lot of those businesses, the conversation on how they hit $1 billion and how they grew started from this exact slide right now. That I have told them, like I will tell you, build a business that represents the dream of your staff, because everybody that works for you have dreams. And I know some people in my space have lied to you and have told people that, don't worry, you cannot be successful if you don't own your own business. That's bullshit, because there are people who work somewhere and they are a lot more successful, a lot more wealthy than you would ever be. They are billionaires who've never started a business. They just work for other people. Very important. Build a business that can represent the dream of yourself. So how many of us would like to build a business like this? You'd like to build a business where you can pay 50, 20 people that work for you the kind of amount that you currently earn. Because don't forget, if you ever get to that level, you're going to be earning a lot more, right? So if you want to be in that category, I want you to type yes. In fact, here's what I want you to do. I want you to type yes, your name and your phone number, because those are the people that I want my staff to call as far as the strategy factory is concerned, because those are the only people who are interested. We're interested in those people that say, I want to build a business, or I want to build my department, I want to build something that would be so big that the people who work for me can build an entire life around it. Right? Great. If you send that, you're going to get a message from my team tonight with details about the strategy factory. Right? Why? Because those are the kind of people we want to work with. Right? The strategy factory is built around that philosophy. Right? Right? Exactly. It's built around that philosophy. And we want to work with you and take you through close to 35 different topics as far as strategy is concerned. But the goal here is to enable you build a massive business, business that it will put you on the course to be able to build a significantly big business. In fact, we have pictures. This is a picture from our last class. We had about 45 people in last class. The Strategy Factory, we only used to open it up for 30 people the whole of last year, but we decided to expand it this year to 40. We had 45 people in the last class. This is exact pictures from last month. This is January class. Some of you might see some of the people who recommended you into this group there. That's amazing. It holds at Eco Hotel. And the class is 180,000. Yeah, it's 180,000 perpetual Elite Eagle. Yeah, it's 180,000. Though the person who's going to contact you, I think, has maybe like a 10% discount for you, I think. Let me not be too forward, right? Bola's going to contact only those of us that put our names and numbers on the group are going to be contacted by this lady, by Bola. Most of us already are in contact with her. We're already talking to her already. So what do you get? Of course, the events at the hotel. So it's sort of like a 2-day event. One of them is a full day class. The other one is a virtual session where we talk on selling. But it's not really just what happens in those classes. It's actually what happens after the classes. So when people come to Strategy Factory, it admits them into our alumni network. Our alumni network, we have about 4 to 5 different trainings that go there for free every single month of the year, forever, really. But that's not the best part. The best part is we take note of what you do, and we work to be able to connect you to opportunities, right? So we've facilitated more than 5 billion in transactions within our community already, which is people buying stuff from people. And it's everything from land to people buying businesses. For example, I was in a meeting in the office this afternoon, and we have a member of our community who owns 3 different tertiary institutions, 2 polytechnics, 1 college of education. And we are already creating opportunities because there's some hostels that need to be built within our school. We're connecting her to somebody within the community that can build those hostels. And they want to build almost 1,500 rooms. That's probably going to be a billionaire project. We're trying to create like a synergy between her and one of our clients, one of the members of the community who runs an electrical company, where they can have like a symbiotic relation. We have a lot of things that we're working with them to be able to pull off, and we're working with them to connect them to other members of the community also. So, even though it's a 1-2-day event, it's also 1-2-day event for the rest of your life. You get all these community events and you get all these connections that you can do. So a few people can make it physically, so they can join virtually also. But here you get 1 post-strategy session. If you're joining virtually, you pay the same price, but you get 2 sessions with somebody on our team after the meeting, right? So for those of us that have written our names, only those of us that have written our names will be contacted. Bola will speak with you, and I'll be looking forward. I'll be hoping to talk to you and meet you in class on the 23rd of February at the Eco Hotels and Suites. Now, those of us, this is the number that will be contacting you. No other number. This number, you can just save this number down, which most of you already have because you got a private message from Bola already. Yes. So if you've written your name, you'll be contacted already. If you've not written your name earlier in this session, please write your name and your phone number, and you get a call from Bola tonight. All right. Thank you very, very much. In the course of the days, you're also going to get some videos. I think you've already gotten some videos from the session already. you'll be able to watch and like. So we have 2 minutes more. I'd like to take questions. Any questions? You want to write it down, you want to type it, or you want to ask it, I'm available. Any questions? Let me ask. Oh, thank you, Manase. Okay, thank you. Blue Ocean. Oh, yeah. So it's a 10-hour session. We talk about Blue Ocean strategy when we get to market analysis. Yes. So we do market analysis. And so we review 2 strategies. One of them is differentiation, which is where Blue Ocean strategies then come in. And the other one is creative imitation, another strategy developed by Peter Drucker. Yeah, the recorded version of this session, yes, we'll send it in tomorrow morning. Tonight or tomorrow morning, it'll be sent into the group. Someone asks, is there a book to purchase on this? I don't know. There's a class. It's on the 23rd. Okay, great. Any other question? So Bola, please take note of everybody who's dropped their names and their numbers. Please take note of everybody who's dropped their names, their numbers. I'd appreciate if they all get a message tonight, and we can then see who's interested and take it up from there, right? Okay, thank you so much. Have a fantastic evening, everyone. I hope you had a great time. Please do me a favor. I'm in that group that you are in. So please send a feedback. I want you to post the feedback immediately after this class about the impact of the class or what you like best about the class. Please post it in the group. I would read them, and then you would get the recorded version of the class probably later tonight, or worst case scenario, tomorrow morning, right? Thank you so much, everyone. Have a fantastic evening. Bye-bye.